Good morning, everyone, and thanks very much to Econsultancy and FODM Malaysia to invite me to come to this stage. I believe that digital or the digital changes that is bringing to our lives is not only about the technologies. Very often we have ignored the fact that people are the most important element that is behind the technologies. And that is why we are putting together this presentation on the new digital leadership. And over the past decade, we have heard about the magic that digital has brought to businesses. And in fact, a recent research by the consulting company Capgemini and MIT Center for Digital Business has examined over 400 mainstream global or international companies and found that companies that are mastering digital changes and the way to nurture digital leaders enjoy significant advantages. How significant? These companies are 26% more profitable than their average industry competitors and enjoys a 12% higher market valuation. That is fascinating, right? So how agencies and marketing or the marketing networks around the world should start to adapt to the rise of digital? Well, honestly speaking, I don't have all the answers. And especially when it comes to people, it's something that has a lot of variables. But today, I want to share with you some of the tricks or some of the ideas that I have gathered and also have started to think about since the past couple of years ago when I took over leadership of a major digital agency in Greater China. So to start with, I would say digital actually is not something out of the box at all. Digital marketing actually applies all the basic knowledge about marketing and communications that we all have learned in the past. So digital or digital marketing forms part of your overall digital strategy and now plays a core role in all of your brand communications. We all know that consumers nowadays are spending more time online versus offline. And we have heard from the previous presentations that digital is in the air. It's something that we breathe in and breathe out every day. It's not something out of the box. So many research reports have told us that social media is influencing consumer sentiments about brands and ultimately their purchase consideration and behavior, etc., and etc. So how about on the branding side, on the agency side of management? I would say, first of all, we must stretch across a variety of platforms in order to survive in this world of unlimited fragmentation of media consumption. Brands must rewrite their models of communications and become more digitally savvy, more digitally centric. If today's digital opportunity is about creating more positive relationship between brands and consumers, then today's marketing is about creating more cooperative, more value-led brand communications in the digital connected world. As leaders in agencies and marketing functions, we must develop brand communication ideas that engage and inspire your digital audience. So to start with, I would say we have to go back to the basics. And by saying going back to the basics, I mean three things. So the first is about understanding of the consumer insights in the world. And I believe some of my colleagues today is going to share about consumer journey. So ask yourself about why people are interested in talking about your brand, your product online. And how about your marketing or digital marketing strategy? How is it different from what you have done 5 years ago? And secondly, also ask yourselves about communications modeling. How is your online and offline communications connected nowadays? And more particularly to agencies people, why is digital often added as the afterthought by full-service creative agencies? Is there any particular reason? Don't say that your client has given a brief at the last minute, because that is not an excuse. And by back to the basics, I also mean the need to review your brand and your product. Today, the brands and products are essentially more vulnerable as they're exposed to public opinions in the digital world. Consumers are getting very sentimental and also judgmental about their consumption experiences. So if you are not putting out a good product, just don't promote it online, I would say. So how about how you are going to evaluate your brand, your own brand, in terms of marketing? If you can answer to your own questions about, okay, I'm going to like this product online, then push it out on Facebook and see how it goes. Once you're able to find answers to these questions here, I trust that you should be able to see how to structure internal teams and to mobilize people, cultivate them, nurture them. One point to note is about digital and IT. I have seen a lot of leadership team, and funny enough, most of the time from agency side of the business, saying that they have invested and relied on IT to drive more results in digital, saying things like, okay, we have invested into the state-of-the-art, very expensive CRM solutions. We are going to capture all the consumer data and, well, we are going to monetize in CRM programs. As you can see here, I'm putting it out loud. Digital does not equal to IT. Your investments in IT or information technology means your commitment in developing information and technology capabilities. No doubt that IT-enabled innovations may lead to improved productivity, efficiencies, and competencies. But then, your IT investments on marketing-related functions will not give you any results unless you have a digital business strategies behind it. So ask yourself, what does digital mean to you? As leaders of your organization, I believe it is your responsibility to determine the definition of digital for your organizations. And it should start with how digital manifests in your business strategy. And then how the different elements of digital strategy actually would link back to your core business strategy. Digital necessarily brings changes. It essentially brings transformational technologies into the marketing mix. It goes beyond brand communications. It changes your go-to-market approach and the consumer experiences and brand management. So, what are these marketing technologies that will bring changes to your organization? I have divided marketing technologies into 3 sectors. The first one on the top is internal technologies. So to understand how this works is actually quite important as well. So please bear with me with some lecturing here. Internal technologies are the tools used for managing and analyzing marketing operations. Examples are like social media monitoring, which is at the top here. And also you can have business intelligence, SEO analysis, etc. So these technologies are essentially helping you to understand how your organization should operate internally or to organize your different departments together. The second type of technology is external technologies, which is the green circle here. So these are the platforms used for reaching out to your audiences and to deliver your contents. So examples are your email marketing solutions, your website, or your placement on mobile platforms of ads, etc. The more interesting part of the technology side of the business is what I call the product technologies. These are the features that are built into the product and your service. These technologies are directly fed into the marketing ecosystems. So examples are digital product like the award-winning Nike Fuel, the wristband, which is a technology-enabled product that tracks all your activity during the day and be able to transfer it into what they call the Nike Fuel and visualize, help you visualize your performance on Facebook, and you can challenge your friend, etc., etc. So this sort of technology is a good example of how a product can be evolved around technologies and make the marketing even more interesting. And some other of these product technologies are like examples like RFID or location-based technologies, where you can actually integrate the physical presence of your store or your product into marketing mix using technology platform. So apart from the planning and the technologies, understanding of the technologies, we also have to talk about the people. I believe that apart from managing the roadmap, you can have a plan, you can have something in mind to help you reach out to a certain level of technologically enabled company. But then it's important to have the right team and the right people to help you. I have been asked many times at many different occasions where to find the digital talents. And honestly, my answer is, it depends. Why? It's because I believe that talents, like the marketing technologies that we have just covered, they evolve. Depending on the stage of digital transformation that your organization is currently at, your requirements for talents would vary. And it is essential for you to help drive the evolution of your talents. To start with, I believe it is important to mention about the IT team. I trust that some of you, well, anybody here working in the IT team here? Good, 1, 2 at the back. So no offense, I have a lot of brilliant experiences working with the IT team, but sometimes they are just a little bit difficult to communicate with, right? But I would say involving IT departments is very important, because digital transformation is essentially led by technologies. And if we talk about technologies, we have to talk to the information technology department. So the important thing is to help your IT team enable you. Has anybody watched the UK sitcom IT Crowd? I believe gentlemen from the UK has seen it. It is a very funny drama, to me at least. So for those of you who don't know, maybe this is a very good example of how you perceive your IT team at the moment. So IT Crowd, these guys here, there are 3 people IT department. They are being put in a dingy, untidy basement of the building. And this guy here, well, he is particularly depressed because people looked at them as losers. They are just geeks. So his name is Roy, by the way. And he consistently gets very irritated by his marketing or sales department calling him to say, oh, my computer is broken down. Oh, my website is broken down. So he's so irritated that he would just pick up the phone on his help desk and say, have you actually tried turning it off and on again? Or is your computer really plugged in? Well, to me, it's kind of like okay, why would IT people speak to us like that? It's probably because the way that we don't listen to them. So again, no offense to any IT personality here. What I want to say is that the trick to work with IT team are 2 words. Empower them so that they can enable us. Rather than just calling them when you need them or use them as a server support, like fixing the server or, oh, I have a web page to upload for the campaign tomorrow, I believe that it is important to empower them to help them understand how your business and marketing focus are planned. Invite them to come to a meeting and let them provide you with the technical devs that they are dealing with, and ask them to help you, enable you to visualize your marketing goals. So having your IT and business leaders to get engaged to implement IT or technology-enabled marketing campaigns would be very, very interesting. You can start sharing with your business visions, your goals, so that all the teams can work together on a more, I would say, positive environment. So, okay, you can now imagine putting your IT team on one side of the table, and then on the other side of the table, you have the marketing or the business team. Okay, we have to try driving them on common goals. Sounds a little bit uneasy, right? So here we go. On the one side, we have the bling-bling people, marketing supermodel-like. And on the other side, we have the IT geeks, or the standard geeks, that we don't know what they're talking about most of the time. So, how to start with it? So my trick is to understand, first of all, the most important part of the communication. What is their typical decision-making approach? Generally speaking, the marketing decisions are based on brand values, about the product, about the marketing vision, the speed to market, innovation, market impact, differentiation, and consumer experiences. Whereas the IT side of the business, they are more concerned about the technical depths, the accountability, economies of scale, standardization, functional specs, etc. So the important thing is to understand they are coming from different angles, but they are all doing good for your business. So once you're able to balance the expectations from both sides, I believe that it is easy to make the best out of these discussions. And some of you may then ask, okay, we have the first-class agency creative talents and the planning people, and they all look great. They all really look like supermodels. And we have our super intelligent client team who have done lots of award-winning marketing programs. And we have, by the way, we have just won Cannes with our TVC, etc. But then, hang on, we have to think about how to transform them into digital talents. I want to emphasize that the basic knowledge about marketing and communications still applies. So you guys can still look gorgeous like this and still apply all your understanding about the market. But then there are three things that we want to really go deep into when we talk about digital business. If I were to come up with a structure of a digital business team or digital marketing team, there should be three key functions. The first one is marketing. The second one is communication in the middle. And the third one is commercials. So what do I mean? The marketing talents should focus on the understanding of the market environment. Or in a digital sense, they should be adapted to the digital market or digital media environment. So they should go deep into numbers, into research, and to understanding how this digital world actually works. For talents who focus on communications, they should work continuously on understanding of the brands and products. They should be able to come up with ideas on content creation or digital creation on social media. They should be sensitive about brand sentiments and what is trending in the market, what are people talking about, etc. And the commercial teams, they are the real salespeople behind digital scene. They should focus on e-commerce and CRM. It's about their knowledge on sales, on product supplies and even logistics, on customer data, and essentially consumer or customer services. In the perfect world, these people should sit together and work seamlessly with your traditional marketing or conventional marketing team. And in a perfect world, once you have planned for your IT team to sit together with this digital team, I believe that if they can speak the same language, to focus on the same business direction and marketing goals, your organization should be ready to take off with the digital challenges. And I have one more point to make about digital leadership. I hope if you are at the C-level, you should consider about the role of a chief digital officer. So this person should be, in a perfect world, make sense for both the IT people, the geeks can talk to him, and also for the marketing or business people. And actually, a recent research from Gartner have surveyed more than 390 companies around the world, and the chief executives and senior leaders across the globe have showed that the rise of digital strategy is starting to change leadership landscape. So 19% of the business leaders interviewed are expecting to see the role of chief digital officer in the organization by 2014. And 17% are expecting to have a chief data officer. It makes perfect sense to have these chiefs to run the digital and data strategies for your businesses. More importantly, it also shows the businesses are more committed to data and information, being treated like an asset of the company. But again, where to find them? If you haven't started, look around for your next chief digital officer, it's still fine, just that you understand that you have to compete with the 390 companies that have been interviewed. But more importantly, I think you should start looking at talents internally. There are always potential candidates within the organization, and I believe that investing into talents and training and nurturing them should be the top priority for any organization. This training could be basic, it could start with some skill sets training, and more importantly, people skills and managing teams. I have just now touched or talked a bit about how to manage IT teams versus marketing teams. But then, essentially, to have a leadership team being able to understand what it means to be in a digital world, it takes more from understanding the technology and the marketing. It also involves a lot into managing people. And more importantly, digital has a very long value chain. So functions are segregated sometimes, and there are always a lot of fragmented views on different types of technologies being used in marketing. So it's important to have someone or a team that's able to pull things together and work seamlessly with your different departments. Digital transformation and change of leadership structure can determine how far your organization is ready to go. And there is no one-size-fits-all approach to organize your new digital leadership team. To conclude, I have 3 key points to make, and I hope that's going to help you when you go back to the office tomorrow to talk to your teams. So first of all, consumers. Where are your consumers now in the digital world, and where will they be? Always remember, our world starts and ends with the consumer. Understanding them, acknowledge what they need, and helping them to enable you to do your marketing better is very important. And the second keyword is technologies. Again, it is important to have technologies enabling you rather than just technology driving you to your next destination. Try to get involved in all new sorts of new platforms and play with the new gadgets. I once have a client in Hong Kong, actually. She's heading one of the biggest marketing team in Hong Kong. She is the marketing director for a shopping mall, which is called Harbour City. Have a guess, how many people in her team is involved in digital? She has a team of 20, inclusive of all the interns. Have a guess. How many people are there being digital savvy people? 2? 5? Anyone? 10? No? None? The answer is 20. All 20 of them are assigned with roles and tasks, either to run their Facebook, their Twitter, or in China, the Sina Weibo account or the WeChat. Why? Because she believes that technology is a driving force behind all marketing. So all members in her team must be able to master at least one or two of the different platforms. So she herself probably won't be able to go onto Facebook to check every day. Well, we are all very busy most of the time. But start asking your team and your people to be able to master at least one or two platforms and tell your other team members, leverage on each other's resources to get a better understanding of what is going on overall. Embrace the technology, because this is a new way of life and this is the way for business. And the last word is evolve. Digital evolution is going to be never-ending, and so are your talent quests and also your talents. People are going to be evolving. So your digital leadership team should also evolve over time. And lastly, my trick for staying ahead in the digital world are just two words: learn to lead. This is a new way of digital marketing leadership. Thank you, everybody. I believe that we still have some time for questions, or maybe just one. Okay. Anyone who doesn't agree working with IT team may be a pain. Any questions? Or maybe we can save it at the panel discussion session next.